Hello world, this is your boy, the Real Nordic Black, reporting to you live from Norway, once again, bringing you another subject. And for today's topic, I'm gonna talk about things I do not understand about Norway. Things I do not understand, and some things that I actually cannot stand in Norway, to be precise. And definitely there are different topics from food, religion, the language, things like that. So for starters, let's go to the lighter subjects, food. I'm from Oklahoma, from the Midwest. For all you don't know, Oklahoma is like one state above Texas. And there we have a lot of Mexicans. In America as a whole, there's a big Mexican population. So, therefore, Mexican food is everywhere. And so, especially where I'm from, Tex-Mex is everywhere. You know, Texas style of Mexican food. So when I get here to Norway, and you guys actually absolutely love Tex-Mex, it's like, oh my God, like, did I even leave home? You know, and not only that, the kebab thing late at night, you know, I wish there was, like I said, that's a whole nother subject within itself, Norwegian food. And I'll definitely make a video on that, in my opinion. Actually, there's some people that made, one person in particular that I have in mind. I'm not going to say the name right now, but they made a pretty good blog about food in Norway or whatnot, American. But like I said, I'm gonna give my perspective in a different way about Norwegian food. Now the Tex-Mex, definitely, it seems like here they on Fridays, especially for the kids, they love tacos, so they'll have it's like taco night on Fridays usually. The Tex-Mex style, the people just absolutely love it here. And pizza. People absolutely love pizza here. It's definitely different. It kind of reminds me of Japan with the hamburger. There you see some people in the restaurant slicing up hamburgers like it's a steak. That's kind of how they do pizza here. Not all, but sometimes they do have restaurants where they kind of treat pizza like a steak. I seen a restaurant in Grünerløkka in Oslo and different, in other places. It's kind of reminds me of that in Japan, where when everybody goes out for pizza, at a restaurant, and you see them over through the window cutting it, like a steak with the knives and all that stuff. It just, not only me have this opinion, there's other Americans that share this opinion. One of my friends actually, he shared that opinion, and somebody had the audacity, Norwegian, to comment and say it's not like that here. Bro, it's definitely like that here. So that's straight bullshit. Anyway, so that's one thing I kind of don't understand when I look at it, because they always talk about they got 5-star Michelin star restaurants and all these, which they do, but yet and then Noma and Copenhagen and things like that. But yet, I walk by a restaurant and I see people wine and dining with the lights and everything, and looking all glamorous and stuff, and then to find out that they're eating pizza. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. Because that's just strictly a fast food thing in America. Although some people do treat it like fast food, but from what I've seen, like I said, that it's treated a little bit more, like it's steak at times. Now, what I don't understand is they always talk about family, 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 which they do in a great deal. Are about family and kids here. Don't get me wrong; they spoil kids here. In some ways, I think kids are going to run the world here in Norway. But that's a whole other subject within itself. Check out my other video. Do a little excerpt about Norwegian kids and American kids. I didn't really go in on it. I just was trying to point out the fact about this video and slight differences. But click on that video. Maybe I'll make another video, expound on it, and get more details. But the community, the sense of community here in Norway, to me, in my opinion, it's not as great as you may think or as they perceive it to be. I honestly, personally think that the greatest communities come from the African, Middle Eastern, and Asian communities. That's just a natural thing for people of color, to be frank with you, to have a larger, better sense of community as a whole. For example, I remember when I was in Oslo, I mean, we were invited for a cookout from our kids' school. And I show up, and I'm thinking, you know, there's a big grill, everybody's grilling food and whatnot. And before we left, I remember my wife telling me that we had to bring our own little food or whatnot, and which was okay, I understand. And then she said that we had to go get a Ingongs grill, a one-time grill, where, you know, you can use it one time and dispose of it or whatnot. And I was like, okay. And I thought it was kind of strange or whatever. And then when I show up, you know, you see everybody with their own personal grill or Ingong grill or personal grill. And they go off to different places in the grass or whatnot. Nobody sat like close by in clusters hardly ever. And it was just crazy. And like I said, I'm reminded of when people say, you know, Norway is so much of a family-based, oriented, you know, place. And yeah, in some ways, yes, I see it, but it's more like, it feels like to me is, you know, not so much of in a larger community. I don't see that. I see, you know, the basic unit starts with the, you know, individual and the family, definitely, then it's supposed to spread out to the community. But I just don't really see or feel a real community-based, a sense of community here, like I felt personally when I was in America, you know, even, you know, when I hung out with, you know, other people, not only Americans, but people from the Middle East or Africa or whatnot. And even here in Norway, when I hang around other Africans or whatnot, that's when I sense that you know, natural sense of community. But when it comes to Norwegian people as a whole, I'm just gonna keep it real. When it comes to sense of community, it's lacking. Let's just say that, and I believe it's lacking in Norwegian society, most definitely. And I think they're so blinded and covered up by, oh, the kids are first, and it's mainly used as verbal. You know, they say it out of their mouth when it's about the kids or whatnot. And even in those, sometimes dealing with kids, I think there's certain things that could be done different. That's a whole other subject. But when it comes to the sense of community and family, which they're supposed to be hand in hand, because if the community is taken care of and happy and feels together, then, you know, usually it's a safer community, you know what I mean, or whatnot. But like I said, the sense of community is definitely not a great sense of community in my opinion, and what I'm used to seeing. Another thing, when it comes to religion, people always talk about you know, Norway's a Christian country, so that's why we have these holidays. That's why, you know, you can't get alcohol at this certain time, or the stores are closed on Sundays, and all these things like that, which I'm actually kind of used to, because in being in Oklahoma, we're part of the Bible Belt in America, and it used to be pretty similar to how it is here. And I'm sure other states too that are part of we call Bible Belt, very conservative area of America. So this is nothing real new to me. You know, if you're talking to somebody else from, I don't know, Las Vegas or some other wild place in America or whatever, Miami or whatnot, you know what I mean? Which I've lived in Miami, and I like it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, you know, I know how it is in a more conservative place. So it's nothing new to me. That doesn't necessarily mean you're so Christian. But the thing is, what gets me is when they're talking about Christianity, they always mention that the state runs the Lutheran church throughout the country, whatever. But I've noticed that people in Norway are totally, pretty much the opposite. Almost remind me of Japanese people, actually, when I used to be stationed in Japan. Whereas they're not so religious at all. Matter of fact, when you talk about religion, they tend to run off, walk off, or politics, or anything with meaning or substance, to be honest with you. It seems like they kind of brush it aside, or walk off, or don't want to talk about it, or even sometimes downright find it ridiculous, or even sometimes even joke about people that do hold on to religious views, or are claiming that they're Christian or Muslim or whatnot. And that's what's crazy, because the same people that'll joke about it, they'll say it's a Christian country and all that, and boast about, yeah, we don't have this because of that and this and that, but yet, hardly ever you see people really talking about religion. Although I know there's supposed to be kind of like a Bible Belt around Kristiansand area or whatnot in southern Norway or whatnot, where they are, they do practice more Christianity, conservative. I am aware of that, but like I said, overall, you get that sense of religion is definitely not really. It's more of the Christian tradition rather than the real substance. When it comes to to the religion stuff, it's definitely I say most of them are atheist or agnostic or whatnot, and they definitely, it's something that they definitely don't talk about. Another thing, racism, which I'm gonna definitely hit on one of these days. The video about racism, and they're definitely racist here in Norway. But on one of my videos I talked about it was not so much overt racism. It was more of a cultural kind of thing. But like I said, I didn't want to expound on it at the time, but yes, definitely there is racism, and it's more of a subtle racism, like the everyday racism that we people of color experience, which other people cannot fathom or whatnot. There's a subtle racism, or they call microaggression racism, where it's everyday, kind of occurrence that you wouldn't even, so subtle, even between well-intentioned, good-intentioned people. It kind of comes out, whether it's jokes or whether it's, like I said, I can get into details about that. So racism is definitely here to stay, and is alive and well here, most definitely. But like I said, the overt racism, the blunt in your face racism is not much here in Norway, thank God. But like I said, in some ways, the subtle racism, the in the closet racism, can be worse and far more damaging than the other racism. And I can get into that in another detail. So that's another thing about Norway. They always mention the Nobel Peace Prize and all these other things, which is good. But when it comes to racism, it's like there's no type of talk about that. And it's a shame, because I even work with some kids. And I mean, almost a daily occurrence, a mixed kid or a kid of color will be called brown, or bash, which is dookie, and things like that. And that shows you it's just not curiosity. They like to always brush it off as it's curiosity. And I believe that it's deeper than that. And I believe they should have, and I'm surprised they don't have some type of racial sensitivity type of classes being taught in schools or whatnot, diversity training or whatnot, like we do in America. Like the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish organization, or other type of things, or individuals. That right there, I think they need to definitely have a common. Let me see, what else? Dang, my time is going. What else can I talk about? Oh, the language. The language definitely is something that, it's in a whole nother subject. But the thing is with language, it's kind of like they're bipolar. At times they say it's okay for you to speak English because they speak English, and they're also excited about English. And also the young are very hyped about English, particularly American English, because they think it's the cool thing to do, and also, or the cool thing to say or whatnot. And and so on visiting, it would seem that it's cool, but if you were an expat or stayed here, it definitely is not cool. And it's funny, I saw a video with some guy making a joke about American expats, excuse me, or whatever. They don't reason don't speak Norwegians because of the English or whatnot. Like it's just coming from like it's our excuse or something like that. But I challenge that person to see if you're an actually expat that's actually living in Norway. I think kind of the opposite. I think you can use that excuse for a little bit, but kind of opposite as well. The Norwegian people, they tend to speak, especially English speakers, they'll tend to speak English to you, and then all of a sudden, kind of like a bipolar attitude, and then expect you to speak Norwegian. All of a sudden, you'll even see them playing around with the English, even saying when you hear them speaking Norwegian to each other. Whether you're out or on the bus or anywhere, you'll hear them speaking, not the older generation, but I'm talking about the younger or whatnot, or not just younger, but people in their 30s or 40s even. You'll hear them speaking to each other, and you'll hear them stopping and saying long phrases, not just words like bullshit or different things. You'll hear them saying long phrases, when they, not only in comedic situations, but you'll hear them saying so many. And the English language is like, kind of influencing the Norwegian language like so much, and it's just like it's crazy. And the expectations, sometimes for us to speak English is, like I said, that's a whole nother subject. I might even cut this out. Anyway, the one thing, like I said, about that I cannot fathom is about the Norwegian language is how, when it comes to language, excuse me, is how when the Norwegians come off as if we should be speaking the language, so much, which we should, but they come off like we should be speaking sooner, or they're disappointed that we're not speaking so soon, and due to the fact that they continue to speak English to us. And at times, and then also, we hear them constantly saying English phrases and words, and it's constantly brought to our face, especially Americans, as if English is the cool thing to say and things like that, and so that's definitely a difficult subject, and I'll expound on that more another time. All right, then, this is the Real Nordic Black, reporting to you live from Norway. Peace.